So in Parsha Tazria, we have the Rabbi Avrohom who explains the process of tzaras. And it's not just him; it's based, of course, on Gemaras, on Midrashim, but he makes it clear that tzaras was a supernatural phenomenon. It was an esgoli that could not be explained in any other way. It wasn't some type of typical skin problem or some type of plaster issue on your walls or in your clothing. These were clear messages by Kodesh Baruch Hu to Klal Yisrael, to each individual, which itself reminds us and tells us how unique the world was in those times, so that we had this incredible relationship with Kodesh Baruch Hu, that not only obviously we're in Eretz Yisrael, we had a base of Mikdash, but we also had this direct, almost Western Union messaging from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that when we made a mistake and we did something wrong, there was some lashon hara that was spoken or some other of the averos that I mentioned in Chazal, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent us this incredible direct message: do tshuva, wake up, realize what you did, and do tshuva, because it might start in your wall, but if it doesn't stop, it's going to get worse. And certainly when you woke up and you saw that in your wall, and you called the Kohen and he checked it out, and he says, Taka, says, clearly you got some issues, you got your wall has a tzaras, this is what you have to do, and this is a spiritual issue, and you need a spiritual remedy, and you have to do tshuva. It's incredible to think how life worked in those times, but maybe even more amazing than just the system of things was the fact that look at the process of tzaras, that this is something that, despite the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending this individual this incredible wake-up call, what does Rabbi Avrohom say? That if the person didn't do tshuva, then if that wake-up call wasn't enough, if that growth on the wall, that was a direct statement from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that you have spiritual problems, then what happens? It goes on to your beged. And from your beged, if you still don't get it, it goes on to your body. And even in the body, there were different gradations of where it would be, where this growth would be on your body. And again, these were all intricate processes that took place that sometimes required, obviously moving out of your house, and all types of different messages, both private and public, as people clearly saw what was going on, to the point that a mamish hit you at your closest spot. Till I believe it was the head that was the last place where you hopefully would get the message. And again, all of these were for the message of doing tshuva, which, if we stop and reflect, and certainly as we approach Chodesh Nisan, tomorrow's Rosh Chodesh, and obviously Chodesh Nisan is not only the month of Gula, but we know that obviously it's a month of Pesach, and here we are, as we are taught by Chazal, that not only do we have to get ready for Pesach on a physical level, we also, again, it's hard to say more importantly, but certainly along those same guidelines of getting ready for it physically, we have to get ready for it spiritually, and we're getting rid of the Sar Shabisa, the Yetzer Hara that rises within us and blinds us to where we are, and develops this gaiva within us that we're going to do what we want to do, and we're not going to be held subservient to a higher authority. All of the issues that sometimes dictate to a person how they're going to behave. So the idea of tshuva and the idea of getting rid of the sar shabisa, that spiritual leavening of the gaiva that's within us, this is the time. So it's always a good time to do tshuva, but just sort of as a reminder that look at the sar shabisa of this guy. How is it shaykh that this is a Jew, a God-fearing Jew, holy enough to be able to be worthy of divine direct messages from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that this is your problem, this is your situation, you need to do tshuva, you have this growth, and yet it'll be in the wall, you won't move. It'll be in your clothing, it won't budge you. It'll be in your body, still not. It'll get worse. It'll get closer to you. It'll start moving into the more critical parts of your body. And you'd say at this point, what kind of person would not by now have done tshuva? What's shaykh that a person should ignore all these signs? These are all miracles. How is it shaykh for a person to do that? We see the incredible koyach habechira and and the power of that sar shabisa. If a person does not want to see, the person is sort of so self-absorbed that this is something that will not move him, will not shake him. It's just amazing, and again that he won't see it. Number one, that's the power that we have not to see it. How frightening it is. Sometimes we sort of become self-righteous, and we say if we don't, I don't have to change or whatever. We just don't want to recognize it, and we say therefore it doesn't exist. And I'm not so bad. I'm not doing anything wrong. And you see, Clark, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu could be telling a person, no, you're doing a lot wrong, and yet you just don't want to see it. Your mom is blind to a nes goli. And what's also so amazing is that despite the intransigence of this person and the obstinance of this person not to change, you would say that if a person finally gets it, what kind of tshuva is it? How was that even considered a valid returning to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? This guy needed how many miracles? How many messages did he need? This is something that you'd say has validity in terms of returning to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Is this a tshuva that really counts? After all, what did he have to see? How much did he have to already go through? And you'd say this guy is, what kind of person is he? This is tshuva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take this guy back. And very often we think in our own minds, HaKadosh Baruch Hu won't take us back because I've gotten so many wake-up calls, I've got so many messages, and I didn't do. So the Torah gets in on the other direction, that you're beyond reproach, you can't do tshuva. Yet we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, every single tzaras, as late in the game as it was, and as much as it permeated this person's body already, and therefore it's very late, and yet, why is HaKadosh Baruch Hu doing this? Why is he sending in this message that come back to me? Means that if he did come back to me, if you finally woke up and smelt the coffee and realized what was going on, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will say, I embrace you, I welcome you back. So you see how much patience HaKadosh Baruch Hu has, and how until the end, person's tshuva is always accepted, because, and the havana for that is because at the end of the day, tshuva needs honesty. It needs an honest movement in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's direction, an honest recognition of chet and the charata that goes along with it, and throwing away that chametz and developing a humility. So I see, even if it's very late in the game, for a person to do that at any moment that a person is doing that, that's godless. That's a greatness of an individual to be able to recognize. Even so late in the game, the koyach bechira makes the decision to do tshuva that much more significant. And you see how far it goes. So to the extent that we have the koyach bechira to be blind, to that extent is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's readiness to accept us, because we had to make that move. We had to have that movement of the heart. So certainly at a time like Nisan, time of Gula, time of rejuvenation, time of getting ready for Pesach, where we're looking to develop a new relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zman Cheresenu, true Cheres is somebody who is able to free themselves of the shackles of the Yetzer Hara. But Hashem, we should recognize that we have to be so careful not to fall into that trap, not to be that person who doesn't see the wake-up call and the messages from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to, of course, always remember the incredible Chazei Hashem, how much He loves us, and how that should be a motivator, because at any point that a person does come back, it could be so far gone, so many times, and so many opportunities lost, and yet HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, this is something that I welcome you back at any time. And that Avos Hashem should also certainly be a motivator for a person to throw out that Sar Shabis and to recognize that this is something that we have to take advantage of. And that's we'll have Shnas Gula Vishua.